Welcome to this deep dive where we're exploring a pretty fascinating interview today. You usually picture an Ivy League neuroscientist as this lifelong academic prodigy, like hunched over a microscope since kindergarten. But Dr. Andrew Huberman, he started out as a feral, truant skateboarder running the streets of San Francisco.
Yeah, it actually got to the point where he was placed in a youth lockdown facility. But instead of letting that environment dictate his future, he used these very specific physical and behavioral practices to completely transform his brain. And I mean, he eventually studied his way into Stanford.
Which is just incredible. Okay, let's unpack this, because going from a lockdown facility to Stanford, that requires a massive neurological shift. And we're constantly told to chase this effortless flow state, right? We expect learning to feel smooth, like sliding down a water slide. But the neurobiology reveals that learning is actually much more like dragging yourself through a heavy, muddy gate.
All right, it's a grind. And what's fascinating here is the chemistry behind that muddy gate. So neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to rewire itself and learn, it actually demands two specific chemicals. You need acetylcholine for intense focus and norepinephrine, which is basically adrenaline for urgency.
Hold on, adrenaline. I mean, I associate adrenaline with running away from a bear, not studying for a math test. Why do we need a stress chemical to learn?
Well, because your brain won't waste energy changing its wiring unless it feels a real sense of urgency.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that muddy, agitated feeling you get when you're trying to learn a new language or solve a hard problem, that is norepinephrine flooding your system. Agitation isn't a sign you're failing. It is the absolute biological prerequisite for your brain to change.
But if focus causes a buildup of stressful adrenaline, eventually that's going to overwhelm the system, right? And just force us to quit. So what does this all mean for how we motivate ourselves? Like, people always say we should use external rewards like gold stars or a bonus at work. Do those help us push through the agitation?
Actually, they do the exact opposite. Relying on external rewards completely destroys your internal engine.
Wait, really? How?
Well, we tend to think of dopamine as a finish line reward, like a trophy you get at the very end. But evolutionarily, dopamine is an in-progress chemical. Its true purpose is to be the ultimate anti-quit signal.
I'm a bit confused. How exactly does a feel-good chemical stop us from quitting when we're super stressed out? What is the actual mechanism there?
So when you hit a micro milestone and recognize you're on the right path, your brain releases a hit of dopamine. And that dopamine binds to receptors that actively buffer the adrenaline response.
Oh, so it pushes the stress down.
Exactly. It essentially dilutes the stress signal, signaling safety to your nervous system and giving you a momentary breather. It creates this internal, infinite energy loop.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because he says we can hack this nervous system response in real time, starting with our eyes, which sounds crazy. He compares visual focus to a smartphone camera.
Yeah, the portrait mode analogy.
Right. When you're hyper-focused, your vision goes into portrait mode, narrowing in on one point, which spikes alertness and stress. But adopting a wide panoramic gaze, like taking in the horizon, that actually relaxes the brain's perception of time.
It does, because your visual system is literally a direct physical extension of your brain. And you can manually override this stress with your breathing, too. He introduces the physiological sigh, which is 2 quick inhales through the nose, followed by 1 long extended exhale through the mouth.
I've tried this and it feels like a magic trick. But why does a double inhale work better than just, taking a regular deep breath?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really comes down to the alveoli, which are the millions of tiny air sacs in your lungs.
Okay.
When you get stressed, those sacs collapse like deflated balloons. That double inhale pops them back open, allowing you to rapidly offload a massive amount of carbon dioxide on that long exhale.
Wow.
And doing that instantly lowers your autonomic arousal.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, autonomic arousal is basically the technical term for your body's automatic stress response, right? Like your heart racing and your palms sweating.
Spot on. When you exhale longer than you inhale, it sends a nerve signal to your heart to physically slow down.
Yeah.
It is a real-time kill switch for that automatic stress loop.
That is so wild. It raises an important question about how we approach our daily struggles, too. The ultimate takeaway here seems to be that mood follows action. You control your brain through physical behaviors, like how you breathe, where you focus your eyes, or just pushing through that physical feeling of agitation.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about sitting there wishing your thoughts would change. You have to physically do something.
It is so empowering to know you can, like, act your way out of a stressful feeling. And it leaves me wondering, if narrow visual focus biologically drives up our alertness and stress chemicals, how much of our modern society's chronic anxiety is simply a physiological side effect of staring narrowly at small phone screens all day?